Hi everyone, my name is Erin Elizabeth Warenberg. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Today I'm going to be talking about this idea of how do we not let neutral external events prove false beliefs about ourselves to ourselves. So it's kind of a mouthful. So what do I mean by that? This basically means, so we exist in the world, we interact with people, things happen all day, every day, and then depending on your programming and how you feel about yourself and how you've been taught to think about yourself, how you continue to think about yourself, all of that radiates out into the world and affects how you interpret your interactions with the world. So for example, if you feel like you are, if you internalize a lot of guilt and shame, then you have taught your brain to find any external thing happening and making it as approving to you, about how you should be shameful or blameful for anything that has happened. And on the other hand, if you understand that everyone is at where they're at and they are just existing the best they can do, then you're less likely to internalize and take on the responsibility of other people's work for that. So the basic way to summarize this is we can say, if you feel like you are fundamentally fucked up and flawed as a human being, then you will use every external circumstance to prove that to you about yourself. But on the other hand, if you understand that you are a radiant divine being of light that's doing the best they can, then you will be much more forgiving with how you use external circumstances to frame things happening about you to yourself. So let's say, for example, you go to the grocery store and someone cuts you in line, and you can choose to either get really pissed off, really upset, like, who do they think they are, how dare they, that was so rude. That can be one reaction. Another reaction can be, oh my god, something's wrong with me, that they felt like they could cut me, like, oh my god, I'm so, like, easy to take advantage of, or I'm such a people pleaser, I don't say anything, like anything like this. That could be another reaction. Another reaction could be, maybe this person, there's an emergency at home and they have to cut me to get home to go be with their family. Maybe they just had a super long day, they just lost their job, they have to make it back in time for an interview. This is their 10th interview of the week. Maybe they're going to miss this interview and then not have a job again. So we can see just one neutral thing, this person cut you in line, and that's just 3 different interpretations. And of course there's infinity interpretations you can have about anything, but this is just, again, us choosing not to take on the responsibility and the way someone is reacting and making it about us. If you've been watching my videos for a while and you've seen the Why Nothing is Personal, even the personal shit video, that can help with some reframing with that if you want to start there. And so one way we can choose to step into more of the third reaction I talked about, where you choose to see the situation as how that person is reacting more than your fault, is just let your mind, like, open up, just ask your imagination, say, what could be a possibility of the highest good here that's happening? Because what this does immediately is that there's no guilt or shame happening onto you, and there's no anger and resentment projected onto them. It's looking for understanding. So if you can say to yourself, okay, why would a person act like this? And just let your mind wander and come up with a possible loving story for why they could be acting that way, you will feel so much better and lighter. It's like if you've ever heard those stories about where someone, you know, runs into someone and the person goes, oh my god, are you blind? And the person goes, yes, I am. Right? So this can be, so then immediately when you hear that, you're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. So this is a way to help us assume positive intent, and this, again, may not always be correct. Maybe the person did just want to cut you off because they wanted to, or cut you in line, or whatever, but it can save you a lot of personal agony and unneeded stress in situations that don't need to have that added to it. So this is a way for you to kind of reclaim some of your personal power in the way that you interact with the world, and just choosing to find, you know, like a solution of the highest good in a way to be more peaceful and understanding with the interactions that are around you. So again, one way I highly suggest just letting your mind come up with possible situations or scenarios for why people may be acting the way they're acting, and not placing blame on you. And it also is worth investigating what type of things are coming up to prove to you about you when you start to do this exercise. So are you constantly blaming yourself for everything? What name are you calling yourself when these things happen? So looking at that will be just as important as reframing why this person may be acting this way. So if you've ever done this, I would love to hear in the comments below how it's worked for you or anything of that nature. If you ever want more information about me, you can always go to www.erin-elizabeth.com. Thank you so much, and I will see you all next week. Thank you.